It was a ghastly Halloween weekend in Connecticut high school football. The remnants of Hurricane Melissa swept through the state, creating bone-chilling wind and rain and administrative scheduling nightmares. But could she be any match for Hurricane Allen, who had his eye on storming through Falcon Field? In the calm before the storm, the surging Bears marched into Ellington Wednesday night. Could they slay the valiant knights and continue to climb the ladder of the Class SS standings? Or would the ladder pull itself right from under them? Could the Crusaders muster enough holy water to slay Waterbury Career? Could the Jesuits bless themselves at Vanacore Field? Or could the Cardinals ride over the Falcon's crest? Could anyone in South Windsor slay the mighty dragons? Would the devilish hogs wreck the wreckers? Or would Nick Vile go for the jugular? 2 20-point comebacks in the same week? What other Halloween thrills, chills, and spills could possibly be in store on All Hallows Eve? Mad Hatters, Panthers, and Trailblazers, oh my! Welcome to the Meat Grinder. Coming up next. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Meat Grinder.
You sound, and maybe a few people get this. You sound like Adam Sandler in Hotel Transylvania, where he plays Dracula. That's what I was thinking when I listened to that the first time. That was perfect, though. That was awesome. That was incredible. I'm thinking, dude, this is the episode that we submit to awards, because that opening right there was chef's kiss.
That is a shout out. That's my little tribute to NFL Primetime, man, which I watched religiously back in the day, not so much now. Chris Berman, the gang, Tom Jackson, boom, and, all the guys there, and then and I was like, oh, I could do this. I have to come up with these intros with literally an hour to go before the show. So anyway, hello everybody, welcome once again post Halloween. I hope everyone had a great Halloween. We certainly did here at the Meat Grinder. I'm your host, I'm Patrick Bully. With me, as always, is Pete Pagwaga. Before we begin,
I can't do voices. I'm just saying, I'm not.
That was my best Dracula, and I even butchered a few of the W's. So, but hey, you missed 100% of the shots you don't take. So
that's what Michael Scott said, quoting Wayne Gretzky.
So tip of the cap to the NFL Primetime. I'm not as good of a writer as they were back when, if I had maybe had a little more time, I would have more footage, but I thought it came out good. All right. Anyway.
I think it came out awesome.
Try to have a little fun here at CT Insider / Game Time CT. Anyway, it was a busy week, of course. And as you saw there, it was blustery and windy and hurricanes and all this crazy stuff, rain. And that was just Thursday. And then Friday was just wind and it's just terrible weather. And then Saturday was gorgeous when all the kind of the pivotal games kind of took place this week. But we had games on Wednesday, which was rare. We had a few of those happen. We had games on Sunday. Antonio beat.
There was 5 days. There were 5 days of games this week.
It was like COVID all over again.
Yeah.
Remember that? It was like games every week. It was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We got to play this game. You got to play
Monday. Think about it. Monday and Tuesday were the only 2 games that we did not have games this past week.
Hey, you got to get them in, man. We are on the hard sprint to Thanksgiving, and it is only not a month away, and we are getting down to it. So with lots to talk about. We're going to kind of jump. We're going to jump over all the craziness that happened beforehand. We're going to get to the games that matter in the top 10 rankings. I had a party to go to up in Hamden. My friend threw a flannel party. Lots of good times there. So Pete said, "I got you," because the week before he was off. So I was, so we got just like Jaden Allen says, if you got my back, Pete, I got yours, and vice versa. So Pete did a double duty, and let's kind of go right to it, Pete. You saw the 2 big games in the FCAC. Obviously, the one over in Westport was the one everyone was looking at. You saw number 8 St. Joseph play number 9 Staples. St. Joe jumped over them after their
victory over Darien the week before. And would the St. Joe defense be able to contain Nick Vile and the Wreckers? And what happened, Pete?
I'll tell you this. It was all Finn Kilmartin. Not true at all. But Staples went right down the field, scored early on their first drive. Nick Weil goes in, almost runs into our guy Jim Shannon and myself. But then it was all St. Joe's defense, forced punts, forced turnovers. St. Joe's methodically moved down the field. H.T. Jones, some big throws, some big runs. Manning Stanko, Tristan Spann, they were able to move the ball. And then Finn Kilmartin was the guy who cashed in 4 times. Hear this stat line. 9 rushes, 28 carries, 4 touchdowns. I mean, I loved it. I asked him what the package was called. He said it was top secret. And then Coach Dell said tank. I don't know, but it was working for him. Kilmartin was a starting running back last year for them. Obviously, he's playing a lot more defense. The St. Joe's defense was awesome. Zaccanino was great. You saw the block punt that he had earlier. I mean, they're humming. The defense looks so good right now. The offense starting to show a little bit of life, right? They took what was given. They didn't try to do too much. They played to their strengths. I think they had 5 drives. They cashed in 4 times. And it was just Staples needs to figure out what are we going to do next, because a lot of their big wins that we saw earlier this year aren't looking that great anymore right now.
No.
Their win over Glastonbury, not as great as it looked then. Their win over West Haven, not as great as it looked at the time.
Not nearly
right?
Great, yeah.
So with losses to Wilton, with losses to St. Joe's, Staples needs to look in the mirror here, and they got to go fast because they got New Canaan on Friday. And whenever you play the number 1 team in the state, it's not going to be easy. And their New Canaan's defense is just as good as St. Joe's. But St. Joe's, the offense is getting better. Defense is still awesome, but the offense is starting to get better. Very exciting stuff. And then I had to run over.
Yeah.
You were texting me.
Yeah. I'm like, one of those time with Greenwich at halftime. Get over there, Pete.
That was the text message that like we had talked about, because you weren't going to go out Saturday. And I was like, I'll start here. And if Ludlow and Greenwich is close, I'll run over to Ludlow. And it's 14-14 when I'm interviewing Joe Dell. I'm like, this is going to be a quick interview. I got to run over to Fairfield. He's like, why? I was like, it's 14-14 at half. And he was like, oh, crap, really? And I was like, yeah, see ya. And I got in my car. I got there for like the last play of the third quarter. But that's when all the fireworks started. So there it is. Jack Kelly. Dude, this kid rules. I texted you during the game. I said, Jack Kelly rules. 3 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Hector Lopez added another one. They had 4 rushing touchdowns in the fourth quarter to put away Fairfield Ludlowe. I will say this about Ludlowe. Playing without a lot of their starters. Liam Bond was out. Ryan Love, their quarterback, didn't play in the first half. Apparently he was banged up. Greenwich, I think, was trying to do a little too much early from what I was told. They tried to throw the ball a lot early. It was really windy. Then when they got to the second half, they got to the fourth quarter, they're like, according to Coach Anthony Morello, we're going to go to our bread and butter, and we're going to run the ball. All Jack Kelly, all Hector Lopez, just absolute running the ball down Ludlow's throat. Cashed in 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to put that game away. I got there at the right time because all I did was see touchdowns. A couple interceptions for Greenwich. I was intrigued to see how Greenwich was going to respond coming off the loss to New Canaan. I think I said that to you. I said it would not surprise me if Greenwich kind of started off slow in this game. And I nailed that. But they recovered. Look, an 11 o'clock in the morning game, day after Halloween. Everyone's out there.
Hope everyone was in bed nice and early.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and big news coming out of the Greenwich game. Huge, massive news. The return of the yellow pants. Now, they had been rumored.
Text message to Pete. I'm like, because Pete's, he's got his Twitter X avatar still his yellow pants from 2017. Those pants that Johnny Marinelli brought out. And they got smoked when they played New Canaan. They got smoked. And then they're like, we're going to burn these pants. But Pete, you have an update.
I do. So they brought them out. I had heard rumors that they were potentially going to wear them for the New Canaan game, but they chose not to. They brought them out for the Ludlow game, and there was rumors that this was going to be the retirement tour. And alas, I got a text message Saturday night, because I was asking. I heard they live to see another day. They're being washed. They will be worn again. Apparently, and I want to get the number correct that I was told, and I have to find the correct text message so I can read it perfectly. It was 27 games between being worn. They last wore them in 23. Now they wore them. So 27 games from now would what be 2027?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see the return of the yellow pants, but I was happy because I was writing a eulogy for them. And I was really glad to know that they were not being retired.
Yeah. Well, I sent you the photo maybe to get you to make sure you get down there. I don't know how motivated you were. I mean, the score itself.
The score was quite motivating, but to see the yellow pants in person is just a beautiful thing. And I know the equipment guys over at Greenwich absolutely hate the yellow pants. They hate them. And I'm sitting there pumping them up.
It's like yellow pants. What's that for? And it was the beak.
It's the beak.
Beak.
Come on. That's at least clever. How many of these teams are like, oh, our colors are blue and red, so we're going to have black jerseys? It's not even a part of your color combo, and you're wearing black jerseys. That's ridiculous. The yellows, at least, it's in the beak. I like it.
You're not a Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan, are you?
Occasionally. Yeah.
Charlie. Beak. Oh man, okay.
That was the big news. So that was the big news out of Greenwich. The Yellow Pants are staying, but I was impressed by Ludlowe for a little bit.
Good job by Ludlowe hanging in there. I mean, banged up. Liam Baum being out, he's really good, and being out, that must have really been a tough. And obviously Ron Love being tried to as Rob. The funny thing was Rob Adams and WGCH was like calling the plays in the second half, and I was making chocolate covered strawberries for our party, and all of a sudden I hear it. Here comes Pete Pagwaga running out on the field.
I was hustling from I found a great parking spot. I hustled. I ran. So if you, this is one of the, it's been a long time since I was at Ludlowe for a football game. So I enter like by the parking lot and I run all the way down the field. I get to the back of the end zone because Greenwich is within, I was on like the Ludlowe 20. I stand right next to Dave Whittam, a photographer that we know and love. And I stand right next to him. And all of a sudden the clock hits 0. And we have to turn around and take a 120-yard march to the other end zone. If you look on the first touchdown, I didn't even get there. I was exhausted. So I stood at the 20 and I watched Jack Kelly run right past me.
So an eventful Saturday for everybody. Those were the two big games in the top 10 poll. And we're going to kind of jump right to it, see how things change. Obviously, some other teams won up and down the poll, but there were some other results. But let's go check out where we stand now in the latest GametimeCT top 10 poll, which just dropped today.
There has been a shakeup in the latest GametimeCT top 10 media poll, and a new team has joined this week. At number 10 is Staples. The Wreckers dropped their second game of the season on Saturday to St. Joseph 27-6. The Wreckers can't feel bad for themselves for too long. New Canaan is scheduled for Friday night. At number 9 is New Britain. The Hurricanes have been knocking on the door of the top 10 all season, but their 21-point comeback win over Maloney impressed voters enough to jump them into the top 10. New Britain plays Platt on Friday. Coming in at number 8 is St. Joseph. The Hogs hold strong at number 8 after their convincing 27-6 win over Staples. The Hogs gauntlet continues with Ludlowe on Saturday morning. At number 7 is Hand. The 6-1 Tigers were off last week and have a huge game on Friday night against Fairfield Prep. At number 6 is Wilton. The Warriors hold strong in the 6th spot after their 49-28 win over Ward. Wilton faces Greenwich on Friday night. At the midway point at number 5 is, there is no number 5 this week because we have a tie at number 4. First is Windsor. The Warriors continue to light up the scoreboard after their 64-0 win over Simsbury. Windsor plays Southington on Friday night. Also at number 4 is Fairfield Prep. The Jesuits needed a last-second field goal to beat North Haven 10-7 and will host number 7 Hand on Friday night. At number 3 is Greenwich. The Cardinals dropped down from the number 2 spot for the first time this season after its 41-14 win over Fairfield Ludlowe. Greenwich travels to play number 6 Wilton on Friday. Moving up to number 2 is Killingly. The Trailblazers continue to rip through the ECC with a 60-13 win over Griswold Wheeler. They play NFA on Friday night. And the number one team in the latest GametimeCT Top 10 Media poll is New Canaan. The Rams made easy work of Stanford 42-7 and traveled to play number 10 Staples on Friday night.
All right, there it is, Pete. The GametimeCT Top 10 poll. And now here comes the Pete rant brought to you by Pete. Pete, what's bugging you this week about the Top 10 poll?
Well, I'm going to say something.
Keep it short.
The voters got it right. We see some people in the comment section. New Britain High School Football Booster Club is watching the show. It's about time the Hurricanes have entered the top 10. I think we're in agreement there.
Yep.
Their only loss they played.
Yeah,
they played Fairfield Prep really well in their only loss. I'm sure they would have loved to not been in a deep hole against Maloney, which we'll get to, but they came back. They won that game. They've been a top 10 team all year. I think the voters got it right this week. They're usually a week behind on some of this stuff. I do feel bad for Berlin, who joined the poll last week, won, and then we're like, all right, see ya. They actually gained points too, and they were dropped out. Less teams were voted for this week. I do have an issue, and there's a lot of people commenting, oh, time for Pete to badmouth Killingly. Someone said St. Joe's, oh, they're good, they recruit. Let me just point this out about Killingly. Killingly is an agricultural school. They have an ag program. I'm on the website. Here's how you could apply. They accept 8th graders who reside in the following towns: Killingly, Brooklyn, Pomfret, Putnam, Thompson, Woodstock, Eastford, Plainfield, Canterbury, Sterling, and Griswold.
Yeah. It's like
now, different type, but I'm just saying, like ag programs, you can also bring people in. Killingly is very good. They dominate the schedule ahead of them. They are a very good team. But Greenwich played Fairfield Ludlowe, who's an L school who went to the playoffs last year, who's good, and Killingly beat Griswold, who's having a very good season. They are not the same. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I love Killingly. Chad Neal, Hayden Allard, all those guys have been pumping up all year. I think they're an amazing program. I do not think they're the number 2 team in the state.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, I think the one thing about Berlin, man, Pete, you can't get on the voters' case when they listen to you. They were like, you're going on and on. How is Berlin supposed to? How are they in here? And then the voters go, oh, he's right. We should vote him out. You can't have it both ways, man. I mean,
well, look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a team that should be in the top 10 right now, and that's Newtown. And they have every right to be screaming, why aren't they in the top 10? They lost a close game to number 4 Windsor, and they lost to number 1 New Canaan. Everyone on that poll would lose to probably both of those teams too. So,
all right, let's.
We're trying to keep the show short, so I'm cutting my rant short.
Yeah, because we'll be here till Christmas as usual. Pete, you know, all the bosses get really nervous when Pete starts going on a rant, man. So they're like, you know, Bull, you gotta rein him in a little bit. But I'm like, you can't tame a wild horse. Can't tame him. But good job there, Pete. Yeah, listen again. Last poll is the only one that matters, but they love the rankings. It was an absolutely crazy week. Obviously, as we discussed at the top of the show, we had 5 days of games. We're going to start off. Actually, we're going to start off. They're the two games I went to.
We're absurd.
Wednesday night and Friday night were the 2 best games of the week. 2 21-point comeback victories. We're going to start up at Ellington, finally getting a chance to see our guy Aaron Latter. But they got down pretty big early. Would they be able to come back? Obviously, you know the answer to that, but roll tape, Danny. Here it is.
Wednesday night football up in Ellington. We decided to bring our GametimeCT cameras north to get a gander at our guy, Aaron Latter, the 3-year starting quarterback for the Knights, in a pivotal Pequot-Uncas Division game versus surging Granby Canton, winners of 4 straight. Knights coming off a tough loss to CREC, their first of the year. And it was not a great start for our guy. Driving for a touchdown, he throws this pickoff in the end zone, intercepted by Granby Canton sophomore Michael LaPenta. Granby Canton had its way with the Ellington defense with long, clock-killing drives that were no doubt designed to keep Latter off the field. The Bears took a 21-0 lead on a pair of touchdowns by Joe Louis and another by Gabe Mensah. But 42 seconds left to go, and here comes Latter. Wide open pass into Granby territory, and then a big run out of bounds into the red zone. And with time for just one last play before halftime, Ladder gets sacked. And no! He escapes, and Eli Manning's this touchdown strike to Dylan Calcetta for an insane 4-yard touchdown. My goodness. Let's watch this again. Looked like he's surely sacked, wrapped up, but spins around and somehow slips out of the grass and heaves it for the wide open touchdown, all while getting smacked to the ground. That gave Ellington a massive boost of energy going into the locker room. Words were spoken, and coming out, it was a different team. Ellington makes a stop on 4th and short near midfield, and Ladder goes back to work. He hits Maddox Stimkowski to get into position, and then finds Everett Butts for the short TD pass. It's a 7-point game. Fourth quarter, another long Granby drive. Louis gets stripped of the ball by Tyson Sagendorf, and it's recovered by Brett Powell for the Knights. Just a few plays later, Powell takes it himself 25 yards for the tying score. Knights have come all the way back. 21-21, 7:13 remaining. But Granby, still doing it on the ground, marches right back down the field. Another clock-draining drive. Just over a minute remaining, and Granby looks like they're about to score the go-ahead touchdown, but on 4th and goal from the 2, Louis is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Another massive stop by the Ellington defense. And we go to overtime. You don't have to go for 2 until the 3rd overtime, but Granby decides to roll the dice early. After a Louis touchdown run on the left side, they go right back that way again and get the conversion on the same run. Ellington needs 8 and gets it on a Ladder TD pass to Buss, and then the 2-point conversion pass to Eli Ballard. Second overtime, Ellington goes first, but Ladder is picked off easily by Oliver Gordon. Granby just needs any points, but they don't attempt the field goal, and on 4th and goal, Louis is strung out along the sidelines. No scoring, and we go to a 3rd overtime. Granby goes first, and this time Louis finds Gordon on the slant to go up 6. Blows kisses to the camera, but on the ensuing conversion, the snap goes wide. We've seen that before, and Louis is dropped trying to track it down. 35-29, Granby defense now needs a stop. 3rd and goal from the 1, and Ladder finds Stimkowski for the tying score, so you have to go for 2 now no matter what, and Ladder this time takes it himself, runs over the defender at the goal line, touchdown, Knights. Ellington wins 37-35, reasserts its Class SS playoff drive, and Ladder, well, what can you say? 251 yards passing, had the 2 picks, but more than made up for it with 4 touchdown passes, including the ridiculous escape TD before the half and 2 in overtime. He also ran for the winning 2-point conversion. According to Ellington, he also inspired the troops heading into the second half.
No, yeah, I talked to my defense coordinator at halftime. I said, I just need stops. I turned over the ball 2 times, give me 2 turnovers. I'm done turning over, I'm winning the game.
That locker room was special at halftime. We didn't roll over like last week against CREC. We all came together, and every stop defensively just got better and better, and you heard everybody's name there. Everybody contributed, and then the offensive side of the ball, we have the best quarterback in the conference, if not in the state. We just got it done.
It was a read option. The linebackers came up, but the guy coming across the middle was covered. They played man, and I got hit, and I got spun around. I saw my receiver. I knew he had pink socks on, and I was spinning around. I saw pink socks, and I threw it right to him and prayed.
I think it gave us life. I mean, our whole sideline, we were dead that first half. We didn't know how we were going to, stop Granby's physical run game. And Aaron, being the leader he made plays when we needed them to be made. And then when we went into the locker room, he demanded that his teammates, rise to the occasion and go and win this game.
The whole entire overtime, my coach, I was calling the plays. He trusts me. My running back said, Aaron, run the ball. I'm a block for you. I was like, okay, I'll run the ball. And I ended up running right to the corner, met him at the goal line, and finished the play.
I told him that when we were going into that 3rd overtime and we had stopped Granby from scoring, I said, go and cement your legacy. I said, go put a name for yourself in the history books in Ellington. And he did exactly that. He went and powered through and won us the game.
couple things in that game. Number one, if you notice that the lighting was different on the Brady Johnson interviews, because I turned the lights on us. I'm like, whoa,
do they still have like the fake lights there? Like they
no, I mean, they have real lights now, right? Yeah, they have real lights. They used to have
been there a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to get my phone out and hold it up. I'm holding the camera. It's, the one-man television crew.
They're shutting the lights off on the head coach of the program standing on the field.
I mean, what can you say? Listen, really good job. I mean, we know Aaron Ladder is good. We've been talking about him for the last few years now, and big bounce back win. It turns out though, Pete, we'll get to that a little bit. The CREC loss, is not too, not too bad. They kind of got their doors blown off a bit, sure, but CREC's pretty good. As we'll see, CREC is pretty good. So that's good for them. They got to get their Class SS playoff berths back intact. Meanwhile, Granby, remember they were down. How the heck they lose to Coventry? Everyone's scratching their head about that one in the Pequot. But they came back with 4 straight wins. This is tough. Drops to 4-3. We'll look at all the playoff standings in a little bit, but they're not completely down and out of it. We'll get to all that in a second. But the other crazy 21-point comeback game happened on Friday. We're going to go right to Falcon Field and check that one out. It was a huge game. Got moved off of Thursday into Friday because of the rain. They didn't want to deal with that. So they'd rather get an early start on Friday afternoon, so they have just enough time. I don't know how they got home in time to go trick-or-treating. Trick-or-treating is usually over by 7, 8 o'clock right now. I mean, I don't know how. I don't have kids, so I don't know.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but anyway, while Pete was out doing that, this is what happened at Falcon Field between two big teams in the CCC. Roll it, Danny.
A blustery Halloween evening at Falcon Field in Meriden, with a hurricane warning, you might say, in a game between two of the CCC's top teams in Tier 1, visiting New Britain versus home Maloney, both with their only losses to Fairfield Prep, attempting to reassert their supremacy in their respective playoff classes. New Britain won the toss and elected to defend, and Maloney glad the Canes elected to put the wind at their backs, and it paid off early. Big time. First New Britain possession, and it's a fumbled snap, and Maloney recovers in great field position. And quarterback Eli Shawerda finds West Haven transfer Andre Dixon wide open inside the 5. Devin Bacote takes it in, Maloney up 7-0. Second New Britain possession, going against the brutal wind, Canes elect to go for it deep in their own end, but go nowhere. Maloney again set up nicely for another short Bacote TD run. It's 14-0 Spartans. Third New Britain possession, they elect to punt this time, but the kick goes straight up and then blown down. Maloney again takes advantage. Trayvon Harrell bolts 33 yards untouched. It's 21-0 Maloney after 1 quarter. Second quarter, Maloney driving into the wind now with ease, but the Spartans drop a sure TD pass on 2nd down, and the 4th down pass is short in the end zone. Canes prevent what might have been the final nail in their Halloween coffins. It turned out to be a pivotal turn of momentum. All-State back Jaden Allen finally gets his motor running. He bolts 49 yards for the easy touchdown. Canes on the board. Extra point is blocked, however. 21-6 Maloney. After a disastrous first quarter, Canes defense starts to reassert itself. Keep an eye on sophomore lineman Dimitri Bishop, who makes a big 3rd down stop, and on 4th down against the wind, Maloney goes for it, but gets stopped cold by a host of Hurricanes. Now it's New Britain's turn to ride the wind. Quarterback Billy Seymour finds teammate Jaden Ruiz wide open down the left sideline, setting up another Allen TD. The 2-point conversion fails, but the Hurricanes only down 21-12 at the break. Third quarter, Canes with the wind now at their backs and all the momentum. And with Allen nursing a sore ankle, it's Todd Samuel over the right end for the 12-yard touchdown run. The touchdowns are even now, but another 2-point conversion is stopped, and Canes still trail 21-18. New Britain's defense, though, doing their part, but Maloney punter Aiden Carrera with a huge gain on the fake punt into New Britain territory. Spartans, though, can't capitalize, and on 4th down this time, Shawarda is picked off by Jaden Ruiz. Time running down with the wind, and Seymour finds the new guy. Transfer Adrian Blackwell, formerly of Platt, wide open down the seam for a 74-yard touchdown. But that's a taunting penalty, though, Adrian, assessed on the kickoff. Nevertheless, New Britain has come all the way back with 4 sixes and no conversions. It's 24-21 as we go to the fourth. Maloney now has the wind and marches right back down the field, but Cody carrying a bunch of canes on his back for a huge gain into their end, setting up his own touchdown. A 1-yard run, Maloney's first point since the first quarter, give the Spartans a 28-24 lead. But New Britain's next possession, here comes the magic man. Jaden Allen gets a block from Daniel Alvarez, cuts it inside, and he's gone. 56 yards of pay dirt. New Britain's got a 30-28 lead. 7 minutes remaining. You might have heard this before. 2-point conversion, no good. And Allen had to be helped off the field. He wouldn't return. But now it's time for the defense to show its stuff and win the game. 4th and 4, Bishop penetrates the line, waits for reinforcements, and drops Bacody for the turnover on downs. New Britain runs out the clock and wins a wild one. In the wind, 30-28, their second consecutive comeback victory, this time from 21 points down. Amazing. Afterward, all hail Jaden Allen, who was great on offense and a big part of the defense. Let's just hope that ankle's okay and he's good to go the rest of the season.
I told my team, hey, listen, if you got my back, I got your back. We're brothers. We got to believe in each other. We got to believe in our ability, believe in this program, and believe all our hard work didn't go to waste.
He's our guy. He's our leader. He's a guy we look to. He's playing both sides of the ball. Earlier on in the year, we didn't really want him to. We wanted to kind of just give him offense, but he's such a huge part, just offense, defense. He's a leader. We can't just, his talent spreads more than that. So he didn't have it. He was a little bit banged up coming into the game. We knew that. He still was like, I'm going to go both ways. I'm going to give it all. Like I said, he's a great leader, great person, great human being. Super excited for him. Hopefully he gets healthy.
My ankle, it hurt, but I bet the worst.
I don't know if you can hear it through the wind buffeting against my mic, but he says at the end, I've been through worse. And that's the attitude I love to hear. Man, he gives a great quote when he really gets his mind to it, man. But a great player, man. Just kind of guts it out. Said he was banged up, kind of hobbling a bit. He only had 10 carries, had 158 yards, which is unbelievable. So just an amazing job. New Britain back-to-back comeback victories. You don't want to do that in the postseason, not with Greenwich staring down at you or whomever. But they're making their way up. The only loss to Fairfield Prep, they were right in that game. But I think you have to say this about New Britain right now. Allen's great. Seymour can make some throws. They got some new guys coming in. They have the transfer. He went up to Springfield, came back. He was at Platt before. Now he's at New Britain. That's Adrian. Anyway, but the defense is really what I want to talk about. I mean, obviously, we were talking about their tremendous linebackers. There's like Isaiah Estrada, talked to the other guys there, 5. Just really, I mean, once they kind of weathered the Maloney storm, and it was a big one, they were able to start playing, and they started playing and started hitting, and they don't call a hard hit in New Britain for nothing. Those guys were smacking their opponents around, and Maloney, right in there. They just, guys, if they get that touchdown there right in the early second quarter, I think it's a whole different game. Maybe New Britain comes back, but now you got a 28-point lead, a little different there, but I don't know. Maloney's still pretty good, Pete. But we're starting to really like this New Britain team. That's 2 straight weeks I've seen them, and they're a gritty bunch.
Well, now, so who does New Britain have on Friday? They have Platt.
Yeah,
the cardiac Panthers versus the cardiac Hurricanes.
Who's
gonna pull off the comeback win this week?
So really an awesome job there by those guys. They got Platt this week, as you mentioned, and you don't have to scream at us anymore, New Britain. We've seen plenty of games. They've got plenty of New Britain highlights.
But 9 isn't high enough, though, Sean.
Yeah, well, Yeah, well, I mean, some of these teams if they beat Prep, they would be up.
If they beat Prep, they're probably in the top 5.
Yeah. But can they beat those FCAC teams? Can anyone outside of the FCAC beat those FCAC teams?
No.
We shall see.
Definitely not ECC teams.
Yeah. So we speaking of
stirring the pot.
Yeah. But speaking of Fairfield Prep, I was able to race home, stopped off at Ted's right nearby, got myself a steamed cheese, came back for a little Halloween doing the ride home podcast by myself because Pete was out trick or treating with all his kids or all the kids in the neighborhood. Doing whatever he was doing. And so I came back and I was able to watch the North Haven versus Fairfield Prep in a pretty big game. North Haven's really on a slide. They desperately needed to win this game. Fairfield Prep in Class AA, not so much. But very quickly, looking at the game there, it's your guy, Pete. Ben Cornelius, first team All-State Game Time CD, kicked a 27-yard field goal with 2 seconds left to lift the Jesuits over North Haven 10-7 in a defensive fight at Vanacore Field. Artie McCormick of North Haven rushed for 114 yards and scored the 1 touchdown. They had an early 7-0 lead. But now North Haven, and what are they? Lost 3 straight and have fallen to 3 and 4 as we get down there. And in Class M, it's really tight in Class M. So it might be could be curtains for North Haven if things start going their way. But Fairfield Prep in Class LL, big one for them. They improve your seating, stay as best seating as possible. Now they're pretty much in, right? They only lost once, so they're pretty much in, Pete. And I don't know, it's a gutsy. Listen, North Haven, you say one thing for them. They fight. They fight. They got their doors blown up by by Notre Dame, but they've been back. They've been fighting ever since. It's just maybe just not their year after that big win over Cheshire early.
Yeah. Well, that Cheshire win looks better and better as Cheshire has continued to get better and better this season. Ben Cornelius, not first team All-State yet. We still have a long way to go. But he is the leader in the clubhouse. I saw him just kickoffs against Maloney. I texted you and I was like, dude, this kid, every kickoff, touchback. But hey, when you have a kicker, look, you're talking about New Britain. We scored 4 touchdowns. They only had 24 points or whatever. What they have? Yeah, 24 points, right? You need a kicker. And for moments like that, and we've seen too many teams not be able to kick extra points, not be able to, put 3 points on the board when you need 3 points on the board. Having a kicker who can do that is a complete game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really fault New Britain that much. They just couldn't score 2. If you get a lot of 2-point conversions, you're all right. If you get at least 50% of your 2-point conversions, man, you don't need it. You don't need
but if you get 100% of your extra points, then
fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Hey, we saw a team win a state championship with just a kicker on offense. So
yeah, absolutely. Buchanan being that team. Just kind of rounding out Class LL a little bit. I mean, obviously, NFA had a huge win over Woodstock Academy. That was 13-6. David Sebastian had 7 tackles, 4 for loss, and with 3 pass breakups, and had a 40-yard pick 6 to save NFA's bacon. Bradley Gonzalez had 2 interceptions for NFA in their 13-6 win over the Centaurs. I mean, Woodstock upset, I guess, Waterford, which is now lost again, but they were looking upset-minded, maybe knocking FA out of there and help a lot of Class LL team. Hopeful. There's a ton of them because even if 2 wins, you're still in the running in Class LL. Elsewhere, Notre Dame West Haven had a big game over Foreign, 41-14. They continue to climb. And finally, West Haven lost its 2nd straight game to kind of fall out of the rankings. We'll talk more about it in a little bit, but Christian Luciano, just like Cheshire the week before, Christian Luciano, 188 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. And his quarterback, Puglisi, also had a touchdown. He also had 4 tackles for a loss, Christian Luciano, who's continued to have an amazing season. This was Amity's first victory over West Haven since 1998. And it's also the first time West Haven's been shut out in, I went back 20 years. It's been a while. But, West Haven.
Back-to-back shutouts. It was back-to-back shutouts, yeah.
Excuse me, back-to-back shutouts.
They were shut out last week.
Yeah. Back-to-back shutouts. I mean, even then, they don't get shut out much, West Haven. They're just starting to show their youth a little bit. Remember, we went to the Shelton game early, and Shelton hasn't won since their week 1 game. So that week 2 game we went to, not as big a deal right now. West Haven just really can't get any offense going, and they played a little bit better defensively, but Amity doing just enough to get them going. Let's take a look at the Class Double-L standings. Danny, here we are. We talk about it all the time. It's an absolute mess after now you can almost even say the top. Well, I'll say the top 4. I mean, I think all these teams are in: Fairfield Prep, Greenwich, New Britain, and even Staples. Although Staples got a really tough road to go the rest of the way, but I think they've built up enough points to kind of stave off all these other teams. Besides all these other teams, I've got tough games left as well. So I think the top 4 are pretty good. Glastonbury, obviously, kind of hanging. They got Maloney this week. That's a really big game suddenly for Glastonbury in this drive. And they also have South Windsor, which is really good, and Simsbury to close things out. So Glastonbury is probably going to need to win one of those, and they certainly have the talent to do so. Southington, Pete, you saw them play Platt this week, and it was all Southington all the time in that game. We want to give us a quick rundown of Southington's kind of banged up, but they were able to take care of no cardiac Panthers in this one.
No, I mean, they were down. I think their starting quarterback, starting running back, and it didn't look like it. I mean, they played, I would say, probably their most complete game of the season. Jacoby Roman, it says right there, he threw for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. A lot of different guys contributing in this game. Lonnie Green had 2 rushing touchdowns. There's one right there. I mean, it was all Southington all day. I thought about staying. I ended up leaving early because it kind of got a little out of hand, but there was a little bit of me was like, don't leave. I'm watching your game come back from 21-0. We know Platt's history of coming back in these games, and it just wasn't in the cards for Platt. Though great win for Southington. I mean, they looked complete. They played a complete game, and I think this might be the step in the right direction as Southington tries to get back to the top of Double L.
Yeah, Walker Myershevsky had a pretty good game, and I was kind of shoveling dirt on Southington's grave. I thought they were, going to be mincemeat in this one. Not so much. They are now 4-3. Bring up the standings game real quick, Danny. They are now 4-3 in Class Double L. In a good spot with those other 4-3 teams. And we talked about NFA. They kind of hang in there. West Haven has dropped out. Notre Dame creeping up, hoping some of those other teams are going to lose. The team we talked about last week, and we've talked about a little bit here and there, is Danbury, now at number 7 after a pretty much dominating victory over Norwalk. I thought Norwalk was going to play great in that game, but it's the Hatters. That's a big win for them, Pete. You were there in the rain on what was that, Thursday night? It
wasn't rain. Calling it rain is just is not true. That was some of the worst weather I've ever been at during a football game. I mean, it wasn't raining. It was like pouring buckets of water onto the field. The track was flooded. The turf was all mushy. It was awful. But the people who were up for it was Danbury. I mean, They looked so good. They came out. They threw on the first drive. Drake O'Keefe hits him for the long touchdown. Shocked that they threw. I was so mad. I was like, if anyone throws, they should be arrested in this weather. I asked the cops. I said, "Can you guys arrest them if they throw one forward pass?" And they looked at me like I had 7 heads. I got faked out on that one. Jake O'Keefe had a great game. A couple of rushing touchdowns, through for a touchdown pass. The Danbury defense locked down Easton Pace and Norwalk. Absolutely shut them down. This was all Danbury all the time. And, we'll throw to the Jake O'Keefe interview in a little bit, but they know what they're playing for. And it's been a long time since Danbury made the playoffs. 2003 was the last time. Yeah. 2003 was the last time. Yeah. 2003 was the last time Danbury made the playoffs. And they're kind of in control of their own destiny right now, and they know it. Yeah. And their schedule, out of the 3 games, they could win 3. I mean, Ridgefield they haven't beaten in a really long time, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, but 6-4 is not out of possibility here for Danbury, and that could mean a playoff spot.
Yeah.
But let's hear what Mr. O'Keefe had to say about his team's chances.
The way this kind of shakes out, you guys are in a position to do something that this program hasn't done in a long time. That's make the state playoffs. How much do you guys talk about? How much do you guys look forward to it, or is it just 1 week at a time?
Definitely 1 week at a time. We're trying to go 1-0 every single week and just focus on now instead of worrying about the future.
kind of cool to have something to play for, though, each week, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, you just love to do this for the city.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished, all you lovers of the 6th division playoffs. I think we could also have done this with 5 divisions and maybe a co-op one, but you know that's what they wanted. And in Danbury's case, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, I can't. I'm rooting for them. You know, I'm rooting for them to get in there. I'd love to see it. They got Bridgeport Central. They got West Hill left. So those are 2 right there before the Ridgefield game. You know, they should be able to win those games. I mean, Central lost to West Hill. West Hill won its first game of the year, and that was last week too. So you know, they should be able to handle that. And then that comes down to the Ridgefield game. But even then, I mean, you look at it, NFA, Killingly, they played Killingly this week. They got Wyndham and then New London. I don't know. They barely beat Woodstock Academy, which is okay. But they should be able to beat Wyndham. The Killing one, they're probably going to lose it. That's going to be 4 losses for NFA, probably. So that's kind of like where everybody is. And then, you know, like you just need to get enough points to kind of hang in there. I really like Southington, but Southington's got Windsor this week. They got Maloney and then Cheshire. They are not anywhere near out of the woods right now.
Nope.
So the Class L, as messed up as it is, it's interesting at the very least. You want to talk about?
It's weird. It's weird. That's the way I say it. It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway,
so like you look at some of the teams in L and you're like, oh, if you've had 20 more boys enrolled at your school, you'd be the 5 seed. And you're shitting. Look, we're going to pull up the L standings in a little bit, and you're going to see South Windsor on the outside looking in. And if South Windsor was in double L like they were not that long ago, they would be the 5 seed. But don't worry. Everything's the same. Everyone's equal. Everyone's the same and competing for the same thing. It's okay. It's okay. The powers that be know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. We did. All right. Well, speaking of Class L, let's go to that next.
Something on there. Sorry.
We talked about Amity beating West Haven. That's a huge win for them. Amity plays Guilford this week. But the other game in Class L that was very significant in this whole thing, you mentioned South Windsor. Middletown came into this game undefeated on Saturday, but Jalil Montgomery ran 15 times for 149 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. There he is. In the Bobcats, 30-8 victory over the Dragons. That was their first loss of the season, the first of the Dario Highsmith era. They've been living on the edge. They almost got beat by winless Bristol Eastern, which actually picked up its first win this week. Congrats, guys. And they were in a fight with Newington, and they seemed like they were been really living on the edge, Middletown. So kind of a tough spot there. But the South Windsor has now kind of put themselves into the mix here. I'll show the standings here. Everyone else won in the division. New Canada, as you mentioned, still atop the standings. Cheshire, look at that. 5-2 and just rocketed up there. They got Sheehan, Amity, and Southington left. So, I mean, I still think Cheshire's going to be okay. I think they're going to beat one or these. I mean, the Sheehan win that will be a big one. And then Amity, obviously, and then Southington. I mean, you're going to have to win probably 2 of these at the very least. But then you get Newtown, the team you like. They're playing Bethel this week. Notre Dame Prep and Massac. I think Newtown's going to be favored in all those. You got Amity, Guilford, Cheshire, and Shelton. Shelton's been struggling. Those next 2 games for the Spartans are going to be really tough. Guilford is going to be really tough. That'll be a fascinating game for the Spartans. You have Darien. They won last week. They beat Trumbull 28-0. So they have kind of got themselves back into this. Really tough schedule left, though. Ridgefield, Greenwich, New Canaan. Lots of luck, Blue Wave. Maloney, also tough go, but not nearly as tough as Darien. They got Glastonbury, Maloney, and then they get Southington and then Platt, which is, throw out the record legitimately in that. Ludlowe still hanging around there at number 7. They got St. Joe, Staples, and then Ward. So they're not even out of the woods yet. Ridgefield, a lot easier schedule than the rest of them. Darien, Ridgefield right now, interesting game this week. And then they get Stanford, who they should be able to beat, and then Danbury all of a sudden. That should be a fascinating game. But there's South Windsor right now. They lost to Hall and they lost to Windsor, and that's actually a really good resume. I mean, they beat Avon, Simsbury, Conard, Central. The Middletown one was the big one. They're going to get a ton of points from that, and they're going to need to kind of win. I mean, East Hartford, they should be able to win that game. Glastonbury's going to be tougher than Enfield at the end. Enfield, they've been weird this year, the Eagles. Also, Weaver, Harvard Public, and Classical hanging in there, and then you have ATI, and then Platt's kind of really sunk, as has Ward. But I think you look at these, I think you look at the top the top three are just based on the schedule are pretty solid. I still like Amity, Darien, and Maloney in that spot, and then it might be down to the last two. Can Ridgefield hang in there? Can Ludlowe hang in there? It depends, but that is a lot doing Class L, Pete.
Class L is a little bit more interesting, though. I don't want to say top heavy. I really do like Cheshire a lot. Obviously, it's the new Canaan Invitational for the last 3 years. So it'll be interesting, but there's a lot like people are asking if teams have clinched. I'm not a math guy. You're our math guy. I know you're not a math guy either, but you're our default math guy because I'm that bad. Like there's a lot that can change in the next couple of weeks and a lot of games that affect other games, and it's going to be a really interesting finish.
Clint, well, I mean, I think Ned Griffin was telling us that I think Class L, I think if you look at those, and I didn't even think Class L, I think New Cannon's probably clinched. I have not looked at it yet.
Yeah, it's hard. The math is
far
not
out to
easy.
start sitting there going through, because at this point you'd have to go through everybody's schedule. There's 3 games left. It's a lot. Next week you can start to do it if you have time, which I don't have. Ned might, or our buddy Mike Fornabito might, but anyway. But right now, if you're undefeated and you have teams below, the next teams below you have 2 losses, you're in great shape. You know, especially if you're like New Canaan. They have a tough schedule left. So that was Class L. Not a lot happened this week in Class Double M. Show that up. We'll show that, Dan, real quick. Wilton defeated Ward. Dennis Dustin had another big day, 5 touchdowns. Fitch knocking off Waterford was pretty big. Sean Busty ran for 250 yards in the first half. And 2 touchdowns on 20 carries. And Cameron Lee Fry had 2 picks as Fitch won a big one against Waterford. They were 3-3. That puts Fitch back into the 8th spot here. Massac beat Stratford. Stratford put up a fight, but it was in the monsoon there. Massac's, back on the men. Torrington, we said a few weeks ago, I think Torrington's already in. Newington is number 5. They got Ram, Bristol, Eastern, Weathersfield. I like their chances. Bunnell, same deal. Pomperog, New Fairfield, much tougher. But Bunnell, we still really like Bunnell a lot, and they had a big game this week. Again, it was Bethel. They won pretty handily. Middletown, 1 loss isn't going to do anything here. I think they're in a great spot. Windsor is in a great spot, and Wilton obviously in a great spot. Even though they do have some tough games left, Greenwich and St. Joe, they do finish with Hill House, Wilton, but 7-0, 7-0, 6-1, and then you have 5-2, 5-2, 5-4-3, 4-3. You're in the top 3 here. You're looking pretty good. And I think Newington, Torrington. There's not a lot of spots here left. You're gonna have to look at Fitch, which plays West Haven, and then they play New London and Ledyard. Ledyard's pretty tough. New London's been up and down. That West Haven game looked a lot more daunting, but it's still an SEC team. I don't want to sell Fitch short, but you gotta. Amity kind of ran him over too.
Still got to show up.
Yeah, you got to show up.
I will
say West Haven will probably be okay in that game.
Well, one team double L and double M to look out. Middletown first 6 games. The Newington win was big. Really haven't been. They, like you said, they were living on the edge. Haven't really been challenged. And the next 3 games, Wethersfield, Farmington, and Berlin are combined 14-7. That's not an easy road for Middletown.
Not the way they've been playing, especially last week.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't want to say concern, but all right, guys, got to turn the page, got to win those games ahead of you, because that Berlin game at the end of the year, that's going to be really tough. So you want to win the games that are ahead of you right now. You don't want to put yourself in a position to have to win that game.
Speaking of Wethersfield, they're on the outside just barely, though, a bit. If they beat Middletown this week, man, look out. Here come the Eagles. They got Ram and they got Newington. They're going to win that game, too, to give yourself a good shot. The Plainfield Co-op, Valley Panthers, Stratford, Cheney Tech, Bethel. I mean, I don't have a lot of hope for any of those teams at this spot. So it's not – you only have 2 spots. You only have previously like 1 or 2 teams that are fighting for it. So I hate to say it, but Class Double M kind of almost wrapped up. I hate to say it. Well, that's the way it is now. It used to be down.
But we've seen some crazy stuff sometimes. Sometimes it gets a little weird. Teams lose games that you're kind of surprised by, and you're like, "Ooh."
Yeah, but not enough. Not enough.
Yeah.
It used to be fun on Thanksgiving. It was like, who's going to be in the playoffs? I don't know. Here are all the scenarios.
Yeah.
With 4 teams.
I'll always remember when Jonathan Long got in. They needed like 8 things to happen all correctly, and all like 8 things did happen, and they got in.
That happened to Ridgefield back in 2002. Ridgefield, it was everything crazy happened, and they got in just by their whiskers, and then went on to win a state championship. It's crazy. That's the way it worked back then, man. You know, I kind of miss those days. 4 divisions or 6 divisions of 4 each. Oof, you guys think you had it tough. Okay, that was in Class Class M. The big result, obviously, for everybody involved, not just Holy Cross, but Holy Cross on Halloween night. Huge game against Waterbury Career Academy, undefeated in the NBL, really making a name for itself. And the Crusaders get in there and finally knock the Spartans off in the picks. The few picks I got right. Here it is. Brady Lombardo threw TD passes to Aiden Hall and Deshaun Graves, and Nate Kraft ran for a touchdown. Holy Cross rallied back from an early deficit and knocked Waterbury Career Academy from the ranks of the unbeatens with a 19-15 victory at Municipal Stadium on Halloween night. Isaiah Rivera, Waterbury Career Academy, blocked a punt return at 14 yards for a touchdown with 2:30 left to make it a little closer, but Holy Cross hangs on for the victory, taking a late safety, which is why it's 19-15. But that was a huge, huge win for the Crusaders. You know, we've been waiting for them. They couldn't beat Ansonia. They lost to Massacre early. That was just big for them to get their, now they're back into the mix bit in Class M with just 2. I mean, Class M is ridiculous. We've talked about St. Joe all the time, but great big win for them because they also got Woodland this week, and Woodland is ridiculously tough. I think they're the best team in the league right now, Woodland, and Holy Cross. You know, they needed to either win this one or Woodland to give themselves a much better shot. They didn't win this one. Now you got to beat Woodland. Yeah. I think they're playing. Where are they playing that game? Is that at Woodland? Look quick. They are playing at Holy Cross. They're playing their own. Is it at Municipal though? It is.
Yeah, they don't have a field. Yeah, they don't have a field on campus.
Well, they played some games.
Well, they have like a grass, but not. Yeah. It's been a while.
That's Thursday. It's Thursday night, 6:30. Really big matchup there. Holy Cross still though. Danny, show the standings right now, hanging on by its fingernails at number 8 spot. Talked about Berlin. They're 7. They're undefeated. St. Joseph 5-2. Look at that. I love it. Look. St. Joe at 5-2, ahead of 1, 2, 3, 4 6-1 teams in this division, which is just insane. But that's the schedule they play, and they've been winning all those games. Even losing a hand in New Canaan are giving them points because they're both 6 and they're combined 13-1. So they're getting the extra 5 points just by playing. They get for those 13 wins, by their losses combined. So. St. Joe beating Staples, huge. Darien, huge. Obviously, Ridgefield as well. You know, they're not out of the woods either, although it looks a little more favorable than it once did after beating Staples. Ludlow's left. Ludlow, we'll see what they got left. That could be all St. Joe all the time. Then Wilton, tough game. That's going to be a great game. And then Trumbull, which has been struggling all year long to get some offense going. So St. Joe, I would imagine, would be able to handle the Rumble and Trouble. Who knows? Waterbury Career Academy, despite the losses, an okay spot. They have Seymour as an interesting game in the middle there, but it's all about seeding now for them. Guilford 6-1. They got Amity this week, which is big. Then Lyman Hall, which is right below and lurking, and then Hand. Their white whale haven't beat them since 2006. So Guilford would do itself a huge favor by somehow beating Amity, and they've been playing great. Everyone's screaming about Lyman Hall in the comments. Lyman Hall, where's Lyman Hall? Well, I can't get excited about Lyman Hall just yet because, guys, you beat, and everyone's telling them, you beat Hamden, big school, good win. Foreign, okay, on the side. East Haven, struggling. Bassick, Harding, and then Amistad, which just basically started his program up again. Let's not get crazy. Be proud you're in the mix, but now you got to play. Brantford, Guilford, Sheehan. You know, if you lose all 3, you're in big trouble. Big trouble. If you lose
both Guilford and Lyman Hall, the rest of their schedules are 17-4 the rest of the way.
Look at Pete.
And the Lyman Hall Guilford game is going to be huge in 2 weeks. because the loser of that game might miss the playoffs because of that, right? Amity is no slouch for Guilford. Exactly. Guilford, Amity, that one's kind of a toss-up. That game's, we don't do the pick show anymore, so I don't have to tell you who I think is going to win that game. Like you said, Guilford hasn't beaten Hand in a very long time, right? So that Lyman Hall game becomes so important. And then for Lyman Hall, that Guilford game is so important. What Brantford team is going to show up this week, right? We've seen Brantford hang 50+ on East Catholic and then lose to Pomperog and then turn around and beat Xavier. Yeah, Xavier's struggling and they're kind of on. Yeah, like that's a huge win for Brantford to beat Xavier, even though Xavier isn't the Xavier that maybe people like to talk about, but still a big win. So what Brantford team showing up? And then Lyman Hall has Sheen. They haven't been able to beat Sheen on Thanksgiving in the Creaney Bowl in a very long time, and guess what? Sheen is still very good. So like that Guilford Lyman Hall game might be. That might be a playoff game. That game is so important for both of them.
They start losing.
Yeah.
That's
but
tough.
That one's going to be really intense in week 10. That game has a lot of ramifications for both teams.
They'll be keeping a big eye on Guilford, Amity, Lyman Hall. I mean, obviously you got to beat Brantford. That's number one. That's your first order of business. Look at this. Brantford's 5-2, and they're way down there at number 11. Right below Pomperog, which has got itself back into it, lost to New Fairfield this week. And Brookfield, which, needs points. And they're 2 big points getters. They lost both of them, Newtown and Hand. They don't get a ton from the rest of the teams in there. So for Brookfield to get back in, they're going to probably need some help. Win out. That's really all you got to do is win out. Fairfield Prep has fallen back. They lost 4 straight. They lost to Weston, Norwalk, and 3 straight. I gotta get my glasses closed. 3 straight they lost. North Haven. That's tough. It's going to be really tough for North Haven. Anyone below that to get in there. But if you're Brantford, Pomperog, you got 2 losses right now. Like my goodness. And Platt Tech sitting there. They had a big win this week over Canada. It gave them a ton of points. It gave them that vaulted Platt Tech up to 21-20. On a game I did not get in the picks. People are taunting me about it.
Really? You're getting taunted by the CTC?
Yeah. Last one is Rockville. Danny, throw it up one more time before we go. Rockville gets beat by CREC 21-20. Big game for CREC, but there it was. There it is right there. The CREC had a huge game. We have not talked nearly enough about them, but they had a big one. I can't find my notes all of a sudden. There it is. Keith Agba scored 2 rushing touchdowns, threw a 27-yard passing touchdown to Nyquin Jefferson and completed a 2-point conversion pass to lead CREC to a 22-20 victory over Rockville. And suddenly Rockville is in kind of trouble. They had a great start blowing people's doors off, but now they face CREC. CREC's got 2 big wins now. They got Ellington under their belts. They got Rockville under their belts. And, we'll get to their division in a little bit. But right now, Rockville sitting there 6 right now. They only 1 loss, dropped to 6. You've got Cromwell Portland this week in a massive game suddenly. Oh, no, wait, is it this week? No, it's 2 weeks from now. They got to bye. That Cromwell Portland game is huge for Rockville. Then you basically got to win out Rockville. Ellington at the end of the year that's going to be a massive game. And Rockville all of a sudden you got 1 loss, and you're like, wait, we're on life support almost. You got to beat Cromwell Portland. That's for starters.
Yeah, I don't know if 7-3. I don't know if 7-3 is going to get them in. I don't think 7-3 is going to get them in if they lose to both Cromwell Portland and Ellington.
Yeah, and if I'm you, Holy Cross, you got to beat Woodland. Like you don't want to leave because if you want to control your destiny, Holy Cross, Woodland will give you that boost in there. But the rest of the teams, going to be really tough. All right, moving on. We got to get going here. Moving on, Class SS. The big results, obviously, Ledger beat East Lyme 46-7. Law beat Shelton 24-14. Matthew Whitteman completed 10 of 18 passes. He's having a great year. 153 yards on a touchdown, or running for 51 yards on a touchdown. And Law, much better shape than many of these teams here. But show the Class SS standings now, Danny. In Class SS, Killingly, their Killingly's basically in. They might have clinched already, looking at some of this. But Nonalog 6-0, Hand 6-1. We don't have anything. We don't think any of those teams are going to be out of it. Law, we think they're going to be in good shape. Ellington, again, that big win really put them in a good spot. Let me just take a look at their schedule real quick. Ellington, they've got, like we said, Capital Prep. They should be able to beat Capital Prep. They got Weaver, which is a very interesting game because Weaver has made a move in up the, were they an L, right? Did I say L? I don't remember. But and then Rockville at the end. So Ellington's not out of it yet. CREC, big win, puts them into 6th place right now. They got North Brantford this Friday, then Weaver Hartford. But they're looking kind of favored in these games. They should beat Capital Prep at the end. Interesting that they play Capital Prep. But that North Brantford game will tell all because North Brantford is also in a fight for its playoff life in Class S. New Fairfield did itself a huge favor by beating Pomprog, but still, they got O'Brien Tech, Benell, and the New Milford. Benell one's going to be tough. We'll see about that one. Does 7-3 get you in here? I think it might. I think it might because I guess some of these other teams you're looking at Granby, Waterford, Plainville's been playing well. They're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Weston kind of falling back now since they got to play Norwalk, which has been tough, and then Brookfield and Barlow. And Barlow's playing better too. Bacon got back into it a bit, but Killingly, Norwalk, Hand, Lot. I think the Ellington or CREC right there. I think those two. You might be looking at 3 spots here. Ledger's got Woodstock, Stonington, and Fitch. I think they like their chances, Pete, in this.
Yeah.
But I know those top 4, you pretty much got it locked down. I think there were two more in there. CREC, I think, and Ellington, if they can just win enough games, can stay ahead of the field. The other one's going to be pretty tough. So that's Class Double S. We'll get to all this stuff and scenarios and things. I'm sure Ned's already sitting, at his lair. Where's Kyle Brennan in the calculator when you need him, Pete? Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then last but certainly not least, Class S. In this game, the big game this week was Cromwell. Michael Sitar ran for 173 yards and 4 touchdowns and threw for 116 yards. And Rafael Mendez returned an interception, 80 yards for a score, as the Panthers defeated HK 42-21 to stay unbeaten, right? Yeah, to stay unbeaten in what was an emotional game for their head coach, Sal Morello, whose mother sadly died just a few days earlier. And Jim Fuller got a nice interview with Sal following that game.
Tough week, but these kids rallied. That's what kind of young men they are. They have empathy. They come from good homes, understand that it was a tough week for their coach, but it's about them. Always make it about them.
That's awesome. We love you, Coach. I mean, everyone, we hate to see it, and then unfortunately that's life. But to see his players kind of all kind of rally around him and had a big win. HK is pretty good. And they needed that win going into this week. They're playing SMSA, has been struggling, so they should be able to win that one. And then you get Rockville and then Rocky Hill, which has been kind of a tricky team. I wouldn't call that an easy win by any stretch of the imagination. So, but looking at the standings, here they are: Woodland, Holy Cross. Get your tickets now. But I think Woodland's already basically in that Seymour game in a few weeks. Seymour's got Noggy and then Waterbury Career. So we'll see where Seymour ends up. But that'll be interesting if they can win those games and go into that Woodland game and on Thanksgiving week. Should be interesting. Sheehan. I know why Faraz, grumpy last week. I mean, you got Cheshire. Shelton is still tough. I mean, everyone you have to get your Shelton shots in now. But I think Sheehan should be okay with that one. But then you got Lyman Hall at the end. They're gunning for you. So really tough road there. But I think they're going to be okay. Northwest Catholic, Tolland, Lewis Mills, and East Catholic. I think they're going to be fine. North Brantford, here, this is interesting because they have more games. They have like 4 games left. CREC, tough. Windsor Locks, not so much. Granby is going to be fighting for its lives in Class Double S. And then they get Cog and Chog, which has been struggling. So if you can win those 2 games, North Brantford in a great spot. Bloomfield's comeback trail continues. They play Windsor at the end. You want to give them a built-in win there? I don't know. Who knows? Windsor is very, very good, and Bloomfield's maybe a year away. They should win their next two. Lewis Mills and Tolland. Griswold Wheeler lost to Killingly this week. Then they got Stonington, which got beat this week. They dropped to number 10, Eastline, and then Plainfield, Quinnebog Valley Co-op, the Valley Panthers at the bottom. They're hanging on by their fingernails. Then you got Ansonia. All right, Ansonia last week lost to Woodland in that game, came back and beat Oxford, only 20-7. Woodland, and Oxford's been pretty tough defensively this year, but they did win. You got Watertown this week, Derby, and then Naugatuck. I would like to think Ansonia wins those games, Pete, but they're going to need some help. Let's put it out.
I mean, like, I'm not counting out Naugatuck either. Like, Naugatuck's having a down year as well, but that game, anything can happen in that game. And the recent years have shown us that anything can happen in that game. Even the best Ansonia teams that have gone on to win state titles in recent years have lost to Naugatuck. So, anything could happen in that game. I wouldn't pencil in Ansonia as a winner on Thanksgiving against Naugatuck.
Oh, that'll be a very interesting game. But the window is closing ever so slightly right now, and it's tightening though. I mean, Woodland. I at this point, I have a hard time seeing anybody. I think this is going to be down to two spots. I mean, if North Branford can start winning, I think they're going to be. I think they're going to make it only one spot. Bloomfield, I think, is going to win enough. I think they're only have 3 losses at the very least. Griswold Wheeler. I mean, the schedule remaining is not hard for Griswold Wheeler. They've been playing really well, despite what the Killingly loss said to you. So you just got to win. Just win, baby, as Al Davis used to say, famous Syracuse alum, Al Davis.
Yes, that's what everyone knows him from.
Yeah. Just win, baby. Stonington did not losing that Bacon game really kind of hurt them. And they got Griswold Wheeler. Maybe they can jump in that spot there if they can win there. Then they got Ledyard, and then Westerly has had their number recently.
Yeah.
So there you go. I mean, East Catholic way down there. They're going to need to win and get a lot of help. Northwest Catholic being one of them at the end there. I think that's about as far as you can get. So there you go. Though that is where we are in the class in the standings. Like I said, we haven't not started to do the math yet. Remember like the year Kyle Brennan did math at like mid-October?
That's when Kyle had free time. Kyle doesn't have free time anymore.
All right. Before we get to shout-outs, Pete, let's take a look at we don't have the graphic tip this week. Sean was a little busy down at the Giants game. Got sweet field passes. That was awesome. Thanks, Dave, my buddy. This week, Pete, games to watch. We mentioned a lot of them here. I mean, we can start off with Thursday. Rocky Hill, you got East Catholic. We said it out. East Catholic need to start winning, need to always win. But Joey Montalvo, watch. He's close to getting that record, Pete. What do we got on that?
We don't have stats yet from East Catholic of how he did against Bloomfield this weekend. Bloomfield obviously won the game, but he's in striking distance of a receiving yards record held by Bristol Central's Aaron Hernandez. Definitely something he could potentially do on Thursday. We just haven't gotten his stats, so I don't know the exact number. But I know I will be in attendance in Manchester on Thursday to potentially see him break that record.
That'd be great. Awesome. And then you got Woodland and Holy Cross in the other game. I'll probably head to that one. I haven't seen either team live yet. That'll be great. Holy Cross knocked off Waterbury career, but here come the Hawks, who are looking championship caliber right now. Then we move on to Friday. Glastonbury at Maloney. Mentioned that one. Both teams need wins. Windsor at Southington. Not so much Windsor, but Southington for sure needs to get in there. Can they beat Windsor? We'll see.
Windsor, just quickly, Windsor scoring 54.7 points a game in their last 4 games.
They're out there. They are on fire.
Their offense is insane right now.
Yeah, they look really good right now. It should be very interesting. Class double M. Maybe take a shot at that championship. They were so close to winning last year with other dudes. Greenwich at Wilton, Pete. You saw Greenwich. You've seen Wilton. I've both seen them. Calabrese, Dustin. I mean, they're great. They've been so good.
Greenwich is not going to be able.
Nail biters, man. I mean,
Greenwich is
3-1. I still win Wilton 4, but I really seriously thought about putting them at 3. But I don't know. I couldn't do it. Well, maybe we'll wait for this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Greenwich can't coast through 3 quarters against Wilton. They're going to have to show up from the jump because Wilton is going to. And again, this last year, a 5-5 Wilton team that graduated a lot from a team that went to the state championship the year before, beat Greenwich when they were number 1 at Greenwich last year. Greenwich team that went on to win the Double L championship. So this game's going to be really good. I'm very excited for it.
Number 1 New Canaan goes to Staples. Staples hasn't beaten New Canaan in a long time. It's only been what Dave Stewart was telling us 5 games.
Yeah.
Since a lot, but I think it's 08 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Might have been 09.
It was the year after Kirk Casale graduated.
Oh, okay.
And Kirk Casale just retired from a 12-year career in the MLB. So, but they've only played 5 or 6 times during that, which tells you a lot about the FCX schedule.
It's the Charlie Westfall year, 07.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, Ridgefield at Darien. We talked about the CREC at North Branford. Really, really good game if especially if you're a Pequot fan. Hand at Prep. Hand coming off the bye. Prep with an interesting game against North Haven. Hand's really looking to kind of flex its muscles. But now they go down to Prep. That's always a great game down there. Guilford at Amity. I mean, is Guilford for real? Let's find out. We know Amity's a good team. Luciano, the whole bit, but Guilford, Coach White, they're itching to get into our good graces over there. So then Lyman Hall, Branford, everyone's screaming, right, Lyman Hall, show us. Sheehan at Cheshire, big former Hoosie game. So is Lyman Hall and Branford. But Cheshire Sheehan should be just absolutely fantastic. I really like Sheehan, and I think Cheshire is just as good as a lot of these teams. And then Saturday, Ludlowe at St. Joseph, 11 a.m. Ludlowe banged up. Hopefully they can kind of get on the men there and maybe show up against St. Joseph. We'll see. But there's plenty of other games too. We all mentioned that. So with all that said, Pete, let's get to shoutouts. Who wants to go first? Me? You?
I'll go first. I'm going to start at the top with my boy from Bristol Eastern, Jacob Kingsley. He had 2 touchdown catches, 2 interceptions, returning one of them for a touchdown in Bristol Eastern's first win of the season, 38-8 over the Ram Raptors. Like I said, it was the Lancers' first win of the season. They came very close to knocking off unbeaten Middletown the week before, but they get in the win column this year. Good for Coach Anthony Julius and the boys. Sean, who do you got?
Hang on one second. David Libertor bailed me out here. 07. I was at the game, Staples versus New Canaan. It was at Dunning Field, the famous night that Greenwich went all the way down to Naples, Florida, to play the eventual class, or whatever they were, the Division III Florida champs. No joke. And Greenwich had Myers and that whole crew going on to win its second state championship. They went down to Naples. They got beat. David covered it for us. For the Connecticut Post. It was the night we found out we were buying the Stanford Advocate, or Hearst was coming in to buy the Advocate and the Connecticut Post. And I actually have footage of it somewhere. But the snow started falling down, and it was a couple overtime game, and then Staples won on a touchdown run, 14-7. I forget who had it, Dave, but I have that footage here somewhere. I'll have to show that next week, which I had it today, which I thought of it. But amazing game. 07 was just amazing here. All right, back to shout-outs. Shout out Dave Libertor, by the way, for reminding me. All right, I should have known. I'm going to go to Ledyard. We talked about them needing to get into this one, but get their playoff hopes going, and they're still hanging in there. Jackson Favre ran for 252 yards and 3 touchdowns on 18 carries. Now, that's how you run the single wing. As Ledyard defeated East Line to keep their playoff hopes intact right now, 46-7 over East Line. Real nice job by the Colonels and Jackson Favre. Nice job, Pete.
All right, I'm going to the CCC. I got Jeremiah Pinkney from Manchester. Obviously, Manchester graduated a bunch of guys from the team that went to the playoffs back-to-back years, but they got a nice 34-14 win over Conard, and Pinkney led the way. He rushed for 141 yards and a touchdown on just 12 carries in the Manchester win. Shout out to Jeremiah. Sean, who do you got?
Luke Michaelos from Notre Dame West Haven. We talked about Notre Dame all season long. When are they going to show up? Will they ever get it done? And we decided, we think we're going to get it done. Began with him against North Haven. He ran for 241 yards and 3 touchdowns on 28 carries. And Notre Dame West Haven's 41-14 victory over Foreign. And here come the Green Knights. Pete, what else you got?
All right. I'm going to go back to the ECC, and I'm going to talk about Sean Bussey over at Fitch. He ran for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 20 carries in Fitch's 26-7 win over Waterford. We talked about Fitch earlier. They need every win possible, and Bussey running for 250 will help them do that. Sean, take us home.
Well, I got this shout out here. Obviously, we mentioned him a little bit earlier, but Radley Gonzalez. We got a lot of ECC guys here. Got a shout out. We just have not been out there much. Haven't really given us much of a reason to be out there this much. But Radley Gonzalez for NFA had 2 interceptions in the 13 victory over Woodstock Academy. One of his teammates had a pick 6, but who's counting? 2 pickoffs will also help. So we give him that. I also want to shout out Wilbur Cross for winning its first game of the year over Bassick. Really nice job. And also West Hill for winning its first game of the year. Congratulations to both those teams. I don't know if we have much stats on it, Pete, right?
No, I don't think we got anything sent in.
No, so unfortunately, that was also Saturday. So nice job for those 2 teams to get into the win column. You know, I know it was really, really tough, but this is, what do they say? Small, big things have small beginnings, right? And that one win starts to catapult. Yeah. All right. So with all that said, we have somehow managed to still go over 1 minute and 20 seconds. 1 hour and 20 minutes. Oh, well, people love their football talk.
This is going to be our short show.
Yeah. Not by much. We can just keep talking about it.
There's too much happening, man. I mean, we're getting 2 20-point comebacks, 2 21-point comebacks, 5 days of football games. I mean, I don't think an hour 20 is enough.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, if you guys keep watching, like, and subscribe and all that stuff, if you got this far, remember to do that. Maybe comment and stuff. It helps get people's algorithms going, and they want to check out all of our stuff this week. So, but we got a busy week ahead of us. We're almost there. We're getting there. It's going to be week 9.
We got 4 weeks left, 3 full weeks left, and then the playoffs.
We got 9, 10, and then 11's the kind of the midweek.
Yeah, and then Thanksgiving.
And then it's the Thanksgiving, which
3 full weeks of football. Well, we got like 3.5.
3.5 weeks left. It's crazy, and then next thing you know, it'll be time to start Christmas shopping and doing your
dude, you got to get your Christmas shopping done now. Got to get it done now, so when you're busy during the playoffs, it doesn't happen.
All right. With that said, for people go, I'm Sean Patrick Bully. This has been the Meat Grinder on GametimeCT. We'll see you next week.
Danny's playing us off. It's like the Oscars. I love you all. Have a good night.